Be me, 29, single mom. My life is basically a loop of lukewarm coffee, toddler tantrums, and a soul-crushing job in admin. The highlight of my day is when my son Leo finally goes to sleep and I can open my laptop, not for movies, not for learning a new skill, for the dating apps, the endless, cursed carousel of disappointment. I pour myself a glass of cheap wine, the kind that gives you a headache before you're even finished. My profile is what I'd call curated honesty. Pictures are from a year or two ago, pre-exhaustion, good angles, a smile that doesn't look forced. My bio is short and sweet. Loves adventure, good food, and genuine connection. Comes with a tiny partner in crime. The last part is the killer, the filter. I swipe left on guys with blurry photos, left on guys holding a fish, left on anyone who lists their job as something that involves manual labor. No offense, but I'm looking for a partner, not a handyman. My standards are high. My friends tell me I deserve the best. They're right. I'm a catch. I'm a mom, which means I'm nurturing and responsible. So I swipe right on the guys in suits, the ones with photos in places like Dubai or on a sailboat, the ones who look like they have their life together. I get a match. He looks promising. Good job in finance, nice smile, no obvious red flags in his bio. We exchange a few messages, the usual stuff. How's your week? What do you do for fun? It's going well. He's charming, asks questions. Then he drops the bomb. So, what's your situation? Kids? I take a sip of wine and type out my cheerful, pre-rehearsed line. Yep, I have an amazing 4-year-old son, Leo. He's my world. I add a smiling emoji. I watch the screen. The 3 little dots appear, indicating he's typing. Then they disappear. I wait. 5 minutes? 10? I refresh the app. This user is no longer in your matches. He unmatched me. Just like that. Didn't even have the decency to say, hey, not for me. I slam my laptop shut, the cheap wine tasting bitter in my mouth. This happens all the time. I call my friend, rant about it for 20 minutes. She gives me the usual pep talk. He's a coward. He's not a real man. A real man wouldn't be scared of responsibility. She tells me not to lower my standards, that the right guy, a high-value man, will see me and my son as a package deal, a bonus. I hang up, feeling a little better, but the frustration is still there, simmering under the surface. I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, the silence of the apartment feeling huge. It wasn't always like this. I think back, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I was with Henry. We'd been together since college. He was my first serious relationship. Henry was stable. That's the word for him. Like a sturdy, reliable piece of furniture. He was an IT guy for some big corporation. Good salary, benefits, a clear path for promotion. He was kind. He remembered my favorite coffee order. He'd rub my feet after a long day. He talked about the future like it was a blueprint he was carefully drawing up. Our life was a comfortable routine. Tuesday was taco night. Friday, we'd order pizza and watch a movie. On weekends, we'd go for hikes or browse furniture stores. He was saving for a down payment on a house. He'd show me listings in the suburbs with good school districts and a yard for a dog. He was a good man. The kind of man my mother always told me I should marry. And I was bored out of my mind. The stability felt like a cage. The routine felt like a life sentence. His kindness felt predictable. His plans for the future felt like my own dreams were being paved over with beige concrete. My friends would ask about him, and I'd say, he's great, he's so good to me. But my voice would be flat. They saw it too. One of them told me that life is too short for vanilla. She said I had a spark, and Henry was putting it out with his sensibility. I started to believe it. I started to see his reliability as a lack of spontaneity, his careful planning as a fear of living, his love for me as a comfortable habit, not a passionate fire. I started to resent him for it, for being exactly what he said he was from the beginning. I'd pick fights over nothing, complain that we never did anything exciting. He'd try. He'd book a fancy restaurant, but I'd find fault with the service. He'd suggest a weekend trip, but I'd say it was too much planning and not spontaneous enough. Looking back, I was impossible. I was testing him, pushing him, hoping he'd break out of his shell and become someone else, someone more exciting. Then I met Tyler. It was at a friend's birthday party, the kind of loud, crowded party Henry would have hated. I went alone, told Henry I needed a girls' night. Tyler walked in, and it was like the whole room shifted its focus. He wasn't classically handsome like the guys I was swiping on now. He was rugged, a little bit dangerous. Worn leather jacket, a smirk that made you feel like you were in on a secret. He rode a motorcycle. He was a freelance graphic designer, which meant he worked whenever he felt like it. He didn't talk about mortgages or 401ks. He talked about road trips he'd taken on a whim, about a music festival he'd just come back from, about his art. He zeroed in on me, told me I had a wild look in my eyes, that I didn't belong in the quiet life he could sense I was living. He made me feel seen. He made me feel special. It was the spark, the fire, the exact opposite of Henry. We started talking. Secretly at first. Texts late at night when Henry was asleep beside me. I felt alive. Guilty, but alive. The guilt faded pretty quickly, replaced by a feeling of entitlement. I deserved this excitement. I was too young to settle down into a life of suburban predictability. I knew I had to end it with Henry. I practiced the speech in my car. I wanted to be gentle, to let him down easy. I came home one evening. He was in the kitchen, making his signature lasagna for dinner, our Tuesday night routine. The smell of it, the comfortable domesticity, it suddenly made me feel sick. I told him we needed to talk. We sat on the couch, the one we'd spent weeks picking out together. I gave him the cliches. It's not you, it's me. I need to find myself. I feel like I'm losing who I am. He just listened. His face was calm, unreadable. I was expecting yelling, crying, begging. I got nothing. It was unnerving. His silence was louder than any argument. All he said when I was finished was, "Okay." Just, "Okay." Then he asked if I'd met someone else. I lied, of course, said it had nothing to do with anyone else. He nodded slowly, like he didn't believe me, but didn't have the energy to call me out on it. He said, "I thought what we had was real. I guess I was wrong. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for, Kim." He got up, went into the bedroom, and started packing a bag. No drama, no raised voice. His calmness was infuriating. It felt like a judgment, like he was above the messy emotions I was feeling. It was a form of toxic masculinity, I decided later. That inability to show vulnerability, he was gone within the hour. The apartment felt huge and empty. For about a day, I felt a pang of regret. Then I called Tyler, and he came over on his motorcycle, and the regret was gone, burned away by the thrill of the new. The first few months with Tyler were a blur. It was everything I thought I wanted. We'd decide to drive to the coast at 2 a.m. just to watch the sunrise. We'd spend weekends in cheap motels in towns we'd never heard of. He introduced me to new music, new friends, a new way of living that had no rules. It was chaotic and passionate. He'd tell me I was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, that I'd saved him from a boring life. I was living in the movie I always wanted to star in. But movies end. I started to notice the cracks. His freelance work was inconsistent at best. Some weeks he was flush with cash. Others he was borrowing money from me for rent. His spontaneity started to look like irresponsibility. He'd forget plans we'd made. He'd disappear for a day or two, then show up with a lame excuse and a charming smile that made me forget I was angry. The road trips were fun, but our apartment was a mess. bills were piling up. I was the one making sure we had food in the fridge, that the electricity didn't get shut off. I was becoming the stable one, the role I'd run away from. I tried talking to him about it, about the future. He'd just laugh it off. Tell me to stop being so serious, to live in the moment. He'd kiss me, and all my concerns would melt away for a little while. He accused me of trying to box him in, just like the boring people he'd always avoided. I started to feel anxious. The thrill was being replaced by a constant low-level dread. Then I found out I was pregnant. My first feeling was panic. My second was a strange sort of hope. This would fix it. This would be the thing that made him grow up. A baby would ground him, give him the purpose he was missing. We could be a family. A cool family, not a boring one like the one I would have had with Henry. I bought a little pair of baby shoes and put the positive pregnancy test in the box. I was going to make it a special, romantic reveal. He came home late that night, smelling of smoke and something else I couldn't place. I gave him the box. He opened it, looking confused. He saw the test, then the shoes. I watched his face. I was expecting a slow smile, maybe tears of joy, a big hug. I saw nothing. His expression just went blank. The charm, the spark, it all just switched off. He looked up at me, his eyes cold. "Are you sure it's mine?" The question hit me like a physical slap. I was too stunned to even be angry. I just nodded, tears welling up in my eyes. He stood up and started pacing, not saying anything, just pacing back and forth in our small living room. Finally, he stopped. He looked at me. "I need to go for a drive. I need to think." He grabbed his leather jacket and his keys. He didn't kiss me goodbye. He didn't even touch me. He just walked out the door. I sat on the couch for hours, waiting for the sound of his motorcycle. It never came. I called his phone. It went straight to voicemail. I called again the next morning, and the next afternoon. Voicemail. I texted him. Long, rambling messages. Pleading, then angry, then pleading again. No reply. The messages showed as delivered, but not read. After a week, I went to his friend's place, the one where we'd all used to hang out. The guy wouldn't look me in the eye. He just shrugged and said he hadn't seen Tyler in days. He had no idea where he was. That's when I knew. He wasn't coming back. He ghosted me, pregnant and all. The ultimate act of cowardice. The next 9 months were the hardest of my life. I lost my job because of the stress and morning sickness. I had to move into a smaller, cheaper apartment. My friends tried to help. They threw me a baby shower and said I was so strong, so brave. They told me I was better off without him. But at night, when I was alone, I felt like a failure. Leo was born, and he was perfect. He was my world. But it was hard, so hard. The sleepless nights, the crying, the loneliness. It was a weight I carried all by myself. I had to take the first job I could get, the boring admin job I still have. Life became a routine again, but it wasn't the comfortable routine I had with Henry. It was a survival routine. Wake up, get Leo ready, daycare, work, pick up Leo, dinner, bath, bed. Repeat. There was no room for excitement, no room for me. When Leo turned 3, I decided it was time to get back out there. I deserved to be happy. I deserved a partner, a man who would be a good father figure for Leo, a good man. So I downloaded the apps. And that brings me back to here, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, another rejection under my belt. The men on these apps are all the same. They want the fun without the responsibility. They see a kid and they run. They're all just different versions of Tyler, terrified of commitment. They'll talk a big game about wanting a real connection, but the moment something real appears, like a child, they panic. It's a symptom of a sick culture. Men are taught to be selfish, to prioritize their own freedom above all else. They're not taught how to be partners, how to be fathers. All the good ones are taken, I guess. Or maybe they don't exist at all. Maybe Henry was the exception, and I was too stupid to see it. No, I can't think like that. The problem isn't me. It's them. It has to be. My friends say so. I just have to keep trying. The right man is out there. A man who is successful and mature and won't be intimidated by a strong single mom. I just have to find him. I eventually fall asleep and dream of a faceless man in a suit who smiles at both me and Leo. The next few months are a blur of the same thing. Wake up, work, Leo, dating apps, sleep, repeat. I get a few dates. They're all duds. There's the guy who spends the entire dinner talking about his crypto investments. He barely asks me a single question. When the bill comes, he pulls out his phone and starts calculating my exact share, down to the cent. I go on a date with another guy who seems nice, a bit quiet, but polite. We're having coffee, and it's going okay. Then I mention Leo. I try to be casual about it, telling a funny story about something he said. The guy's face just changes. It's not disgust. It's just a shudder coming down. He finishes his coffee quickly and says he has an early start the next day. I get the "had a great time, but I don't feel a connection" text before I'm even home. My friends keep telling me I'm dodging bullets, that these men are just revealing their true colors early. They say I'm strong and independent, and any man should be lucky to have me. I start to feel less like a catch and more like an item on a clearance rack that everyone inspects, but no one wants to buy. My frustration grows. It starts to curdle into real, bitter anger. I'm doing everything by myself, working, parenting, trying to maintain a household, and all these men out there with their easy lives and disposable incomes, they have the audacity to see me as a burden. The injustice of it all feels overwhelming some nights. One evening, after another particularly bad week, my friend suggests something new. She says maybe my standards are a little too high. Not that I should settle for a loser, but maybe I'm overlooking good, solid guys just because they don't have a six-figure salary. I resist at first. Why should I have to lower my standards? I'm not the one with the problem. But I'm tired, so tired of the rejection. So I agree. I change my filters on the app. I match with a guy who's a plumber. His profile pictures are of him with his dog and on a fishing trip, the kind of guy I'd normally swipe left on without a second thought. But he's nice. His messages are respectful and spelled correctly. He asks me out for a casual dinner at a local pub. I go. He's fine. He's not unattractive, but there's no spark. He talks about his work, about fixing pipes and dealing with customers. He asks about Leo. When I tell him I'm a single mom, he doesn't flinch. He says he thinks that's really admirable, that it takes a lot of strength. He even says he likes kids and hopes to have his own one day. On paper, he's ticking all the boxes. He's a good man. He's not intimidated. And all I can think is, I'm bored. This feels so familiar. This comfortable, predictable conversation. It feels like Henry. I listen to him talk about his plans to maybe buy his own truck in a few years, and a cold wave of dread washes over me. This is what I ran from. This safe, sensible, boring life. I can't go back to it. I can't. I make an excuse about having to get home to the babysitter. He walks me to my car. He's a perfect gentleman. He says he'd really like to see me again. I give him a weak smile and say I'll text him. I don't. I ghost him. I become the person I hate. I delete his number the next day, feeling a mix of guilt and relief. My friend asks how it went. I lie and say he was weird. I can't admit the truth, that the good guy wasn't good enough for me, that I found him dull. It would make me the villain of my own story. The financial pressure starts getting worse. Leo needs new shoes. The rent is going up. My car starts making a sound that I know is going to be expensive. I pick up some extra hours at work, which means paying more for daycare. I feel like I'm running on a treadmill, getting more exhausted but staying in the same place. My search for a partner starts to feel less like a desire and more like a desperate need. I'm not just looking for love. I'm looking for a teammate, a backup, someone to help carry the load. This realization makes me feel cheap, ashamed. But it's the truth. The loneliness is crushing. It's not just about not having a partner to watch movies with. It's about having no one to call when the car breaks down, no one to split the bills with, no one to be the other adult in the house when Leo has a fever at 3 a.m. I feel completely, utterly on my own, and I start to wonder if I'll be alone forever. This thought is the scariest of all. It's a Saturday, a particularly bad Saturday. The month is almost over, and my bank account is dangerously low. I spent the morning arguing with my landlord on the phone about a leak in the bathroom. Leo has been in a mood all day, crying, throwing his toys, refusing to eat his lunch. I'm exhausted. My head is pounding, but we're out of milk and bread, so I have to drag myself and my cranky toddler to the supermarket. The place is packed, carts everywhere, people blocking the aisles, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. It's sensory overload. Leo is immediately overstimulated. He starts whining for a candy bar at the checkout aisle. I say no. That sets him off. He starts crying. Not just little whimpers, but a full-blown, ear-piercing scream. People are staring. I can feel their eyes on me. The judgment. Can't she control her kid? I try to soothe him, but he's inconsolable. I grab a cart that has a wobbly, squeaking wheel and push it deeper into the store, trying to escape the attention. My face is hot with embarrassment. I just want to get what I need and get out. I'm in the produce section, trying to find the cheapest bags of apples. My cart is already a depressing collection of store-brand pasta, generic cereal, and bread. Leo is still crying in the cart seat, his face red and blotchy. I'm trying to tune him out, focusing on the prices, when I hear a familiar laugh. It's a light, happy sound. I look up, and my heart stops. It's Henry. He's standing a few feet away by the avocados. He looks different, really different. He's not the slightly soft, comfortably dressed guy I remember. He's leaner. He's wearing a nice fitted shirt and dark jeans. He stands taller, with a confidence I've never seen in him before. He looks good, really good, successful, and he's not alone. Beside him is a woman. She's beautiful in a natural, effortless way. No heavy makeup, just a genuine smile. She's laughing at something he just said, and she puts her hand on his arm in a way that is so easy and familiar. They look so happy. It radiates off them. He turns, and his eyes meet mine. The recognition is instant, but his expression doesn't change. There's no anger, no sadness, no shock, just a polite, distant acknowledgement, like he's seeing a former coworker he barely remembers. He gives me a short, tight nod. Kim. My voice is stuck in my throat. I manage to push out a weak, Henry. Hi. He glances at the woman next to him, who is looking at me with polite curiosity. This is my fiancée, he says. His voice is flat, matter-of-fact, fiancée. The word hangs in the air between us. The woman gives me a small, friendly smile. I can't even manage one in return. At that exact moment, Leo decides to escalate his tantrum, letting out a shriek that makes a nearby shopper jump. Henry's gaze drifts down to Leo in my cart. He looks at my son, the son of the exciting man I left him for. He looks at his red, screaming face. Then his eyes move to my shopping cart, filled with cheap, sad-looking groceries. Then he looks back at me. And in his eyes, I see nothing. Not pity, not smugness, just nothing. An empty space where all our history used to be. It's the most devastating look I've ever received. Well, he says, turning back to his fiancée, we should get going. They push their cart past me. I catch a glimpse inside it. It's full of fresh vegetables, organic chicken, a bottle of nice-looking wine. They walk away side by side, him leaning down to say something in her ear that makes her laugh again. They don't look back. I just stand there, in the middle of the produce aisle. The squeaky wheel of my cart seems incredibly loud. Leo's crying is just a background noise. The bright, sterile light of the supermarket feels like a spotlight on me and my life. And a thought hits me with the force of a physical blow. A realization so clear and so horrible that it takes my breath away. The problem wasn't that all the good men were gone. The problem was that I had a good man. A kind, stable, loving man who wanted to build a future with me. And I threw him away. I threw him away because he was boring. Because I wanted a spark. I wanted a movie. I got my spark. And he burned my life down and walked away. And Henry didn't just sit around and mope. He moved on. He worked on himself. He became the confident, successful man I see now. He became the kind of man I'm desperately swiping for on my phone every night. He found someone who appreciated his stability, someone who saw his kindness not as a weakness, but as a strength. I'm looking for a man to save me from the consequences of leaving a man like him. The irony is so thick, I feel like I'm choking on it. I'm standing here with the son of my exciting choice, and I can't afford the good apples. He's standing there with his future wife, the woman who got the upgraded version of the man I discarded. I didn't dodge a bullet. I was the bullet. And I shot myself right in the foot. The high-value man I've been looking for doesn't want a package deal from a past mistake. He wants a partner who chose him from the start. There are good men out there. They just don't want me. And I finally understand why.